Now is National Senator Ross Cadell. Ross, I'm going to first start by asking you about this, to claim and single out a religion and then link that to rorts the NDIS, because some of them are happening in Western Sydney. Your thoughts on that?
Well, she better bring the receipts on that, because there's so many things you can claim, but there's things you've got to prove. And I'm not ever going to tell Pauline or her people how to run their party or what they're going to say. I'm not going to talk about the chemtrails. I'm not going to talk things because I don't believe these things. If there are people rorting the system, there are people rorting the system. They need to be fixed. But if you're going to make claims that there's a certain class of people, bring the proof. We have a system in Australia where we're dividing too many people for different reasons. It's on both sides, on the far left, especially on the far right. Let's just, have a civil conversation, work out what the problems are and fix it. And I just think she better back that up. Otherwise, we're going to have a very interesting debate when we come back to Parliament.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than that, though. To single out a group, an ethnic group, and then link that to something that is so politically hot. Is there even any... I mean, I'm not saying that there is no people with a Muslim background that have sought to rort the NDIS, but is that even a point that should be raised? Is there a big enough cohort that they should be singled out? Is there any anecdotal evidence from what you can see, Ross?
No, and health is my bag, really. This is the thing. If there is an anecdote that there's a crime or there's a group or a bunch of people doing that, absolutely call it out, because you've got to. But don't do it unless you do have those receipts. So I think the onus now is to be on us, Pauline, in our office, us, One Nation. Where are these groups? Why? How can we identify them? How can we shut them down? There is rorters of every shape, colour and creed in NDIS. The whole thing needs to be cleaned up. But if we've found a cohort that is doing it, point them out, fix it up, go get them.
What do you think about her going on a podcast with Tommy Robinson anyway?
Once again, not my bag. I was out at Mudgee Field Days doing my thing, running my race. I'm not their strategist. I'm not their person. That is what she wants to do. She wants to hang out with Tommy. She wants to go to Italy and hang out in pools. That is her choice to do that thing. I think there's enough problems in Australia, talking to Australians, hearing what we're here to do that here. But if you want to identify yourself that that's their path to victory that they choose, that's on them. They have to get the benefits and suffer the downside of it as well. You
raised Italy. What would you say about that trip?
Once again, her choice. This is the thing. We all make our choices in this. People are doing it tough. I've got some people on leave on my side, people are on leave on her side. There is nothing wrong with having time off from this business. It is a tough gig on time. It's not as always the hardest job. We're not out digging holes, mining coal, doing these sorts of things, but it is hard on time. If she wants to have time to go away and be with people, that is fine. That is on her. But I wouldn't have done it.
Should she say who paid for it?
Under rules, you're required to disclose any travel. There is a disclosure form within 28 days. She has to do it. I am big on disclosure. I'm very strong on what we need to do. I think there should be more, including diary disclosure of ministers. But, she will have to follow the rules. She'll have to put it out there and everyone will know.
Ross, I ask you these questions in the context of the polls. Pauline Hanson and her party are polling ahead of the Liberals consistently on primary votes. And there are two schools of thought about how you deal with the rise of Pauline Hanson's One Nation. What camp are you in? Do you think you need to call her out and criticise her, or do you think you should let a lot of this slide and that the supporters of previous coalition now finding a home in One Nation won't come back to you if you criticise her?
I think a bit of both, honestly, where this is. I mean, Sean Bell, Senator was on your show early this morning, and he justified Pauline's trip to Italy by saying, Angus Taylor was overseas when we had a vote at the beginning of the year. They want to have a crack at us, that's fine. But I know, there's 15-minute conversations and speeches where we're having a go at the government and the Greens and the state this country's in, and one line, and that's the line that gets picked up, is not the right thing. But our road back to Damascus leads via us getting our stuff right, doing the old Rod McQueen Wallaby thing, do the right thing every time, and the scorecard looks after itself. And we need to get our policies right. We need to be talking. That is the focus, and that's really where I want to be, because if you're always focused on the other player, you're reactionary, and Australia needs more than that at the moment.
Ross, you're in the fight of your life, though. This is existential for both the National Party and the Liberal Party at this point. I mean, do you need a little bit more than that?
I said this in a couple of branch meetings up in the New England over the weekend and when I was on a bit of a tour, is as much as I love my party and I believe my party is the right party to lead Australia forward, I love my country better, right? I love my country more. And this is not about whether One Nation or Liberals or Nationals or anyone like that takes a lead. It's about changing this government and the socialist government we have led by the Labor left and the Greens. We're heading down a path we won't be able to get ourselves out of. And I want us to win. I am working for us to win. The policies we have, I believe, we will be competitive. But if Pauline's the person people want to get away from Labor, I have to accept that too.
Right, so you think a One Nation government would be better than a Labor government?
The Labor left currently, backed up by the Greens, yeah, I really do. Look, if I'm going to be out there, and I've always never gone off talking points and I've always suffered for it, I think with One Nation you get, you get 60% solid policy and a bit of cray-cray thrown in. With us you get, a bit more with a bit more moderate centre stuff that I don't really like in the centre where there's some Labor light stuff that we do. Yeah. With the Nats, you get a mix of maths. You get 80% good stuff, you get 10% cray-cray and 10% Labor light. So there's mixes on what you want to trade off with. But yeah. I just think we need less government in the world, in Australia, telling people what to do. I think Labor and the Greens are heading towards more government. I think the answer is pretty simple. Get government out of your lives and let you be your best person, and I think we'll see Australia improve. If
you think there's a lot of cray-cray in One Nation, how would you feel about the Nationals and the Liberals, the coalition as it stands now, expanding to include some of these cray-crays?
It's got to happen. Every party's got the cray-crays. You can't help it. You go to any conference and you look at some of the motions.
Go on, Ross.
I wouldn't dare. But if you go to a federal conference at Labor, some of the motions they're talking about coming up on this weekend are really out there. Some really big stuff there that the left want to take over. It's like a study. But yeah, it happens. I would just go to the election with our ideas, face the people. I think this, Liberals think that, One Nation thinks that, Labor thinks that. And let the people decide what they want and then get together afterwards. I don't think there's any big deal to be done 2 years out from election.
But it's bigger than that, isn't it? It's bigger than that. I mean, Angus Taylor just last week warned that a lot of One Nation's policies are inflationary and would send the country broke. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think some of their stuff is really problematic. But, even Barnaby wouldn't admit to going out and getting them all costed by the Parliamentary Budget Office. There are things that exist out there that we have different, but they're the things we should be fighting on. We should be fighting on policy. We should be fighting on the ideas to turn this country around. That's exactly right. We shouldn't be fighting on the personalities and the people behind the personalities. If we are talking about ideas, this is the way the nation was meant to be run. Okay. If we're talking about going on podcasts and what sort of entertainer we're going to be, whether it's, the Kylie stuff or the Japanese stuff or the Tommy Robinson, that is not what people need now.
Yeah. Don't go on podcasts. Just come on Sky News, AM Agenda preferably. Ross, two quick questions before I go on a couple of other matters. Talking of cray-cray, we've got research that's been cited by the government that shows that smoking rates are at an historic low. I find that deeply unbelievable and have deep scepticism about that. Do you?
The first time I heard it was just coming into this, and yes, I do. So I haven't looked at it. I'd like to see the source. Are we looking at samples in sewage treatment works? Are we looking at sales across counters? Because I don't think too many illegal outlets are going to say everything that they sell, fill that in the right documents for the government to look at.
Exactly.
It is the affordability of illegal tobacco has driven people from all sorts of things back to smoking. It is an absolute certainty. You're hearing anecdotal stuff from the States. So I really want to have a look at it, but it sounds hinky in my book. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't fit right with what's going on when you're talking about 20% of tobacco sales now being legal, 80% illegal. As I said, not many organised crime fill-in business surveys that I'm aware of.
Yeah, and yeah, that's right, Ross. Well, yeah, it seems, highly implausible. Anyway, Telstra will be facing a committee this afternoon. I thought there was a lot of sanctimonious hand-wringing when this outage happened. We had Vicky Brady come back from holidays. She addressed the media. She is addressing the Senate hearing this afternoon. This questioning this afternoon really has to get to our expectations, doesn't it? Are you and others demanding that there can never be another outage and that we need to gold plate the system? If that is the case, don't we need to talk about the taxpayer, not just shareholder cost of that, and also the tax treatment that is given to Telstra? I mean, $7.2 billion, I think, over 5 years they pay in spectrum charges.
Yep, and that spectrum charge, everyone thought that spectrum charge was too high. It should have been around the $4 billion mark. And that goes forward, and that's that expectation we look at. But, look, a network is never infallible. Let's be honest about this. It's, you know, that's 99.95% up thing. There's always a failure risk. What we need to know is, are we contributing to the failure risk with the way they operate, and what are we doing as government? There was a commitment by the government to come out with the 000 awareness campaign to let people know that hasn't happened. We do have the right settings in the background. You can't just sit in the cheap seats and say, fix it, fix it, fix it, it's all your fault. Yeah. So if this is an oversight, and my information is, you know, Telstra says this was a known fault, so I'll be interested in how it was known and how long it was known and what they've done, or did they just say she'll be right until it happened? That's a concern for me, to be honest. I get unknown faults. I used to have in motorsport background, we used to have a rule. Everything can fail once. Don't make the same mistake twice. So if it is a known problem and you don't fix it, that's a thing for me. But from a government perspective, what are we doing to get the settings right? From an industry perspective, if I've got the entire rail network shutting down, saying that, oh, we're dependent on Telstra, well, that's just ridiculous. You've got to have a double redundant system. Have 2 SIM cards, have 2 things. These are the things we need to build into our infrastructure, knowing that these things will go down for unknown reasons every now and then. And if we're not resilient enough, that's on us. Yep,
more answers, less grandstanding. That's what we want to see this afternoon. Ross, I appreciate it, and you're right to bring up those eminently sensible points. Good to have you on the program. We'll speak soon.